Impact Wrestling. Okay, let's make this clear. This is the final push before Bound for Glory. And let's be honest here. A lot of times, Impact does not do their pay-per-views very well because they don't build them very well. They never build directly into them. But we always know that even though they don't build very well into their pay-per-views, particularly Bound for Glory, it usually goes off pretty well, sometimes very well. But here is a bit of a difference. You see, this time around, even though they don't have a lot of stories, let's make it clear. The one that has the most stories right now is AEW. Let's make it clear. We got the story of Bryan Danielson nearing his retirement from the ring. We got now an announcement that Sting, he's retiring from the ring next Revolution next year. We got MJF's storyline. We have Adam Cole's storyline. We have Adam Copeland's storyline. We have a lot going on in AEW. In WWE, not very good. Even if Vince is no longer running creative, and there's a strong chance he is not, even though he's still the executive chairman of both WWE and TKO Group Holdings, they're not doing so well, particularly that their stock from their company went from 105 down to around 85, 86. And there is a possibility that Vince McMahon could be indicted by the grand jury and go to trial because they still have the subpoena going on. It has not ended. That might be the reason why the stock dropped. I did a Gump report on that. But their storylines in the company are not that good, even though everyone's praising Paul Levesque for now looking like he's begun to turn it around. It still don't look good. Long-term booking doesn't mean crappy booking, because crappy booking's going on in WWE. Then we got Impact Wrestling, where they have done some very surprising things in the last 4 or 5 months easily. Now, I'm not saying it was the most greatest things, but it has been something different than the company usually would do. So we're going into Bound for Glory, and we got some good stories in here. Opening a match that I wish was on Bound for Glory, but cannot happen. And that's a former Kalisto. I believe his name was Kalisto. It's been a while since I thought about Samurai Del Sol as who he once was, as Kalisto in WWE, versus Mike Bailey. This is a match that should be on Bound for Glory, but due to Mike Bailey having a match with Will Ospreay, we had to get him ready. We had to make it look good. I kind of wish that Jonathan Gresham had been standing at the ramp looking at it, so it would be good that if he loses, which he should, against a Will Ospreay, he cannot win against Will. If he wins against Will Ospreay, that's not going to look good for Will Ospreay. Even though I like a Mike Bailey, I actually love his music. I love his theme music. And I like Mike Bailey. He should not win against Will. I'm sorry, he shouldn't. But here in this situation, I kind of wish Jonathan had been there. That's just me. It was a damn good match that I wish could have been on the pay-per-view, but it can't. But it does show what Mike Bailey can do versus someone who is just as fast, athletic. And at one point, Samurai almost busted his face on the ring steps. He managed to basically cartwheel himself out of it because he went too far with it. It still looked great. But in the end, he loses. I'm not surprised because of what's going on with Will. Now, next, Kenny King versus Heath. Now, this is part of a storyline one of the storylines that we currently have, due to the fact that it's really not about Kenny, and it's really not about Heath. It's about Tommy and Steve. I gotta say it again. I gotta say it again. Steve. Say it in a cruel, evil voice. Steve. Gotta be like that, because I don't buy Crazy Steve. No, it must be Steve. It's gotta be that way. But this really wasn't about it. It's about that storyline. And there's nothing really here. Was it a bad match? It wasn't bad, but then let's make it clear. Heath isn't one of the best to sell. And he was supposed to sell tweaking his left ankle. And he only sold it for barely a minute and a half, maybe 2 at the most. The rest of the match, he just ignored it after a while. Now, many people say, well, adrenaline is going to make you forget about the pain. It's not about forgetting about the pain. It's about making it look good. And Heath isn't one of the best sellers. Neither's Kenny either. But it doesn't mean they didn't have a good match. They did. Now, they just both need some type of storylines, but they don't got them. So if they're going to have any matches on Bound for Glory, they're not going to have any stories connected to them. They may just do a singles match again, or going to be in a tag. I don't know. But in the end, Kenny won. And I'm not surprised. Heath is not really doing much right now. But I think, and this is just me, I don't know about you guys, and I'm saying this right now before the Trinity match. I got to say this. You look at Heath Slater. You look at Trinity. You look at a couple of people that came from WWE. When they're on this roster, honestly, they seem to be happy. I'm not telling you Impact is the greatest company there is. They have had controversies. They've had problems. They've almost been destroyed multiple times because of mismanagement. And to be honest, they're still not doing very good with the management. Even though I've heard easily, like everybody else, they're upping their production equipment. It's still about how the people use the production equipment more than upping it and getting new equipment. But you can see people seem to be more happier being in Impact. Even if they don't make as much money. I'm just saying. Let's move on to the no DQ match between Black Taurus and Steve. I'm not going to tell you this was the most greatest match. It was not. But it was good. And I got to say this. Graceland did a nice job, at least most of the time, of cheering for the people they liked. Like they did for Heath. Here, they did a decent job on booing on Steve and somewhat cheering for Black Taurus. I won't tell you it was a bad match. It wasn't. But in the end, what did we get? Steve almost stabbing Taurus in the face with a fork. And in the end, he didn't get a chance to do that. He tried to do a little bit of trickery, putting his hand on Taurus' face, trying to use his former feelings for him to make him lower his guard, which it did, and that's why he won. But the most important thing about this match was afterward. It was when he was done, he crawls to the camera and he said, "Tommy, I hope you're enjoying yourself, but I'm coming for that title." Pretty much that's what he said. The Angel of Death is coming. Now, mind you, not everyone's going to like that, but in this situation with Steve, it does make sense that he's got to be like that. And I'm hoping once, and to be honest, if Tommy wins that title, keeps his title, not wins it, I'm going to be saying that's dumb. Because this is the best I've ever seen Steve. He needs to win. And become more sadistic afterward. Even worse. That's just me. Now, Moose and Myers versus Rhino and PCO. Now, I didn't know this because I had not checked the website and I don't go on X. That there's going to be a Monsters Ball match on Bound for Glory. And all four of them are going to be in it. And I'm going, okay. We got not a tag match. I thought it was a tag at first. And when the commercial came, I went to check the website because they didn't say it was a tag. So I was confused. Was this a tag between PCO and Rhino versus Macklin and Moose? Or what do we got here? So I looked and it's pretty much all of them are against one another. Every last one of them. So it's going to be very interesting. Having Rhino, PCO, and who is Rhino, PCO, Macklin. It's all a fatal four-way, which is fine. I don't think I've ever seen, me personally, I'm not saying they haven't had them since the Monsters Ball match has ever been created, but I've never seen a fatal four-way before. Me personally, I've not. I'm sure maybe they have done a tag match, or it's been maybe 2, 3, maybe even up to 4. I don't know. If you want to tell me, fine. But for me, this will be the first time seeing a Bound for Glory match that is a Monsters Ball, that is a fatal four-way, instead of just two people against one another. This will be interesting. In the end, PCO got pinned because, well, you got, here's where it gets confusing. You get Macklin coming out, and he's grabbing a Rhino. And then you get Bully Ray grabbing a Steve Macklin. And after it's over and you see that Rhino went to him and say, "Why did you do that? I'm never going to trust you. He says, you're welcome, and that is Bully Ray. What does this really give us? Do we see now a face turn for a Bully Ray because there's a good chance Devon is working in the back? Because like I said, Devon could work in the back if he's not wrestling. He's got more experience than most people because he worked in WWE. Whether you like it or not about WWE, they train you thoroughly for their job. If you had not been trained, some cases they will train you, and they will train you thoroughly, even if you're not officially been, gone to school for it. I will say that. But this is just me, guys, some below. It was interesting for what it was. Now, seeing that Eddie and let me give it to you like this. Now that Kaz is done with Eddie, and he says, it's over, we're finished, we're done, but I love you. Because we're both tied together because of Killer Kowalski. We are Kowalski guys. We love each other. I have to make you remember respect. And he made it like that. He made it very important that respect is what we both really wanted. And I beat you. But, brother, I love you. We're family. We both been trained by Kowalski directly. How can you not work with me? We're family now. Stop it. That's what he was saying generally, not in those exact words. So the question's going to be now, where are they going to go with this? Are they eventually going to have them team together and make it mean something or not? And almost forgot, with the last match with Moose and Myers versus PCO and Rhino, the professional wrestling gods. I like the name. Or the most professional wrestling gods. I think it's professional wrestling gods. I actually like the title between them. And they wore the same clothes. I actually like that. Sorry I didn't say it earlier, but it kind of slipped my mind. Let's move on. Now, I did like the vid pack for the gauntlet. There are now, how many people that's going to be knockouts? I think 3 knockouts are going to be in there. It's going to be Gazelle Shaw, is going to be Jordan Grace, and it's going to be Colin King. I kind of thought there'd be an extra woman in there to make it 4, unless I missed somebody. But it's going to be 3 women, 9 men. And they let them all talk, which is fine. Something that not all the time they do correctly. And I kind of wish they did this maybe a week before and then recorded a second one that was a little different. But one, it's all right, but it's kind of a little late at this point. Let me see here. What was the other one I wanted to talk about? Dango, Alpha Bravo, and Orda. I believe Orga. Pravado or Pravados. I think that's how he's pronouncing his name. Until I hear it multiple times, guys, I know nobody bothers me because I've already said it. I'm the dyslexic. I don't say names very well. I've always been bad with names, but I'm dyslexic. I can't do it all the time. So if I pronounce the name correctly, you can leave it down below. Orga, Pravavo, or Pravado, or Pravados. I can't pronounce his name yet. I will eventually get his name. Vladimir Vajakovic is the one I remember, who did work with Santino Morales at one point. They were a tag team. I do remember. It's been a while. I've forgotten. Thank you, whoever left it. You know who you are. That told me about it, because it's been a while. I had forgotten. But seeing him there, now working with Dango, now working with Alpha Bravo is good. I just wish Alpha Bravo. Well, I love Alpha Bravo. I love Dango, but I think Dango or Alpha Bravo should have had the Digital Media Championship. It easily would be Dango. But since Steve is going after it, not the X Division title, it's what it is. Finally, let's see. I'm not going to talk about... Should I? Well, I thought maybe I shouldn't talk about the not the interview, but the sit down in 3 different rooms of Scott, Josh, and Alex. A part of me is saying maybe I shouldn't talk about it, and I should talk about it in Bound for Glory. But I will say this. I think maybe I'll talk about it Bound for Glory. But I am going to say this. Was it effective? Yes. It showed the weakness of Alex Shelley. It showed the strength of Josh Alexander. But it also shows the favoritism of Scott D'Amore. Because that's what we got here. We got favoritism of Scott. We got the confidence of Josh Alexander. And you see in a sense, the insecurity, but the chip on the shoulder of being angry of Alex Shelley because of how he's always been treated. I like it. It was done properly. Finally, the final match. And that is Mickie James, my girl. My trend to the women I love the most in pro wrestling. I'm sorry. If you don't like Mickie James, that's fine. I understand she's not everyone's float. She's not everybody's cup of tea. But that's my girl for many years. And then my other girl, my trend, she's the other one I love. And they went up against the two people that have gone up against separately a couple of times before and now together. And that's Shaw and Savannah Evans. I'm going to tell you this. 3 of the best wrestlers currently on that roster were in that ring. And I'm not taking anything from Savannah Evans. She has improved a bit. I'm going to tell you this right now. Other people say, oh, she's like garbage. She's No. I'm going to tell you a fair assessment of Savannah Evans. Is she a good talker? No. She still needs work. But has she improved in the ring? Yes. She used to be here. Now she's here. And I'm not saying she was garbage here. She just needed extra training. I said that years ago. And now it looked like she has improved a bit. She's able to easily be in a match that she can't lead it, but at least she won't botch so badly that it makes the match look bad. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't some botchiness in the match. It was a little sloppy. But honestly, she's way better than she used to be. And I commend her. Not everyone is willing to fix problems in their style of wrestling. Nia Jax has not improved her wrestling match. Has not improved the psychology of that match. She's not improved her skill in the match. Sooner or later, we're going to hear someone getting injured because of her again. And I don't want that. I'd rather see her wrestle properly so I can fairly assess her. The only thing I can say is something about her is that she's actually a very good-looking woman since she was a plus-size model. Let's be honest. Nia Jax, yes, she's thicker now. She's like, because she used to be like this. Now she's been away. She came back. She's like boobs. She's outside the frame. And that's not saying that she's fat. I'm not. I'm just saying she looks bigger. A lot of people didn't end very well after the pandemic because a lot of people didn't take care of themselves correctly. But I'm telling you that she's not ugly. But her ring work is terrible. And her mic skills have always been spotty. Honestly. But here, Savannah Evans, she's not a Nia Jax. She's honestly, this is Nia. This is Savannah Evans. She's actually better than Nia. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. This was a fine match. But the thing that got me at the end of the match was when they managed to beat. And it was Savannah Evans who took the DDT. And I gotta say this now about Mickie James. Even though I love the girl. I love that woman. I'm actually older than her. So I can't say that girl. Because I'm older than her. Surprising. But the one thing that she's been known for years is her kip up. But now, let's make it clear. As much as she's still a great wrestler, she is. She can't do the kip up like she used to before. She used to be able to jump off the mat as she kips up. But she cannot do that anymore. She can get her butt off the mat and put her feet under her like she's going to kip up. And she can arch herself well enough to come back. But she can't jump off the mat anymore and kip up. Just in case someone said, you know she ain't that great because she can't do no damn kip up. I know she can't. But she is graceful enough, and this is the truth. Even though she cannot jump up in the air, she does position herself enough that as she comes up, at least she does look generally all right now. She's in the mid-40s, guys. She's not 45. I think she's 44 years old right now. So not everyone can maintain the ability they can do. She's very flexible at her age, yes. But it doesn't mean she can do what she used to do when she was 15 or 20 years younger. I'm sorry. She just can't. But in the end, the match was fine. It was done. And after they showed respect to each other, title still being held on by Mickie James. She wants to make it clear, I love you, sis. And the interview they did showed it. They got healthy respect, and this is all about competition. They love each other. But she's made it clear, I want my damn title back. And Trin says, well, sis, I love you too, but I can't let you have it. I'm sorry. And that's what we got there. This is not a bad final show before Bound for Glory, the final push. But I'm going to tell you right here, if you watch this, counting if you're not going to do clips, because a lot of people watch me, this is one of the only ways they can get a good idea what Impact is. I'd rather them actually see the actual episode, but there's just people that can't see it because they don't have the network, and the best they can do is get clips or watch someone who can review it, like Slide Town Smart, Jesse from the Off the Script show from JD. That's the only way they can generally get it. So I've tried to be as detailed as possible, but I'm not a blow-by-blow guy. I'm just not. Jesse is. Chi-Town Smart is. And I would recommend you watch him if you really want to know every blow-by-blow, who did a clothesline, who did a drop kick, who did what in the ring. Because I think that's a better thing to do. And no, for one person, Stefan, I believe that's your name, Stefan. I know you're going to leave a message in the next couple of days saying, I didn't mind the show, but there's no Johnny Swinger. I told you they're going to be more serious. I told you they're trying to be more serious. You're not going to see a lot of Johnny Swinger on the main show. Sometimes they may show him, but they're being more serious right now. He's here. BTI maybe, if you're lucky. He's on BTI maybe. But the main show, not going to get it. And I'm going to have to remind you when you leave a message saying, I didn't mind this, but there's no Swinger, I'm not happy. I'm going to say, I told you. They're being more serious. Watch BTI. He might be there. That's what I'm going to have to tell you. Peace.